Hello everyone, I'm here to talk to you today about assumption clashes and conversation hashes. That's the point where, players think one thing and the GM thinks it's another, the players assume one thing, the GM assumes another, they don't play out right, the players are, distraught that something's happened, the GM is, whose fault, blah, 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 blah. Let's do a little assessment here. We're going to look at a case we had with Rime of the Frostmaidrn, the new current campaign. I'm dating this video now, darn. In 5e, taking place in Icewind Dale. So, and the setting's important on this one. So we had an effective party wipe. I say effective because people went down and really, like, the only people that didn't basically use the hide action and, like, the thing that it left combat because it got what it wanted, which was a meal, i.e. one of the players. But, it had wiped out a bunch of people by then. And it's kind of about, I want to discuss with you how this even happened and came about. This is going to contain spoilers for Rime of the Frostmaidrn, so be warned beyond this point. Here we go. So, we were level 1. Of course, the campaign starts you from level 1. Now, a lot of GMs will not even start players from level 1. A lot of players don't enjoy playing from level 1. A lot of people say, well, level 3, we'll start from level 3, or GMs say we'll start from level 3, or whatever. And there's a reason behind that. Level 1 in particular, I mean, obviously you don't have access to all your abilities and powers, and it's not as fun to play them, but it's a great opportunity to learn a class bit by bit, because you will level really quickly. Between level 1 and 3, you will level fast. And, depending on the module, it can be unfair, as long as it's fairly unfair, if that makes sense. It can be hard, as long as it's fairly hard. And the way that I will always, try to do an encounter, say on, Kobold Fight Club or whatever, is, I will pile the thing on if I'm, creating my own element encounter, until you get to the first point where it goes from, it switches into deadly. And it's the point that it switches to, oh, okay, this will be a deadly encounter for this many players at that level. That's the point. I'll be like, okay, the first tier of deadly, that's great, because we've got all the gear and everything else and player ingenuity. And of course, you've also got the action turn economy, that the group of players will use the actions against the one NPC, especially bad against a wizard. We've probably all seen that, where, they will murder a wizard really, really fast. An enemy wizard boss. Okay. Aside from all that, let's get on to our actual story and let you know the details. So, we just started Rime of the Frostmaidrn. We're all level 1. We left the starting town, Bryn Shander, and we decided, well, the majority decided to go north. Okay. So the GM automatically determines that because of the mission we're on, we're going to be heading north, directly north at it, of where we believe the thing is. In this case, the dwarves stole an iron that the goblins have taken, or whatever. Okay, that's great. So we set off. Now, there's no talk of, like, should we grab, like, a dog sled or something like that. Not that we'd have been able to afford it anyway, because, that's pretty expensive. With, for starting gold, especially, Case in point, I started with, like, 10 gold on my character, so, I mean, there it is. So it's this thing where all the time you're, there's a road and it goes north, but it goes north like that. If you look at the map there in Rime of the Frostmaidrn from Bryn Shander, it goes north. It goes north like that. But then the way that they've been told for these, goblin sighting or whatever, that kind of goes that way, and the road kind of goes like that. So then it's one of these things where it's like the GM's determined, that we're going off track and we're going like that. And he thinks it's great, obviously, because he's going to get to roll on his random encounter table. We don't know he's going to roll on his random encounter table. But all the time we're off-road, we're pretty much vulnerable to that random encounter table badness, that degree of badness. And of course, gets the players to roll it, and the player generates some sort of like double effect. Not that we know that, of course. We're traveling, and it happens to be an ice troll. Now, here's the thing. It's a combination of player experience or inexperience and player meta versus non-meta. So GM Rob could say all sorts about this. He could say, oh my god, it's a troll. Oh my god, we need fire. Oh my god, this. Oh my god, that. Right? Now, personally, I don't want to bring that to the table, because I've just turned the damn thing into a co-op computer game, and I thought it was a role-playing game. So right, now that's my personal stance on it. I don't want to do that. So my character talks exactly as he would. I asked the GM, okay, this ice troll's following us. Oh my Christ, geez, I can't remember what the CR on an ice troll actually is, but that sounds bad for level 1. Why the hell is that happening? Oh my god, what? An ice troll? What? Yeah. Okay, so this I say, has it seen us? Is it following us? Does it, is it aware of us? Yes, it's aware of you. Okay, it's aware of us. It's a human. I can't remember off the top of my head what speed it's moving at, but because it's probably, it's humanoid or larger humanoid, it's probably going to be moving at least as fast as us, meaning we cannot outrun it. We could keep dashing, so could it. It will get us. I suggest that because of that, it knows where we are. If we try to hide, it will see us try to hide. That we try and, take a stand against it, make a stand. It's not the best idea in the circumstances, but it was the only one really, because if we'd have kept moving on, he'd rolled a second result. It kind of like a doubly result. And the other part of the doubly result was like a Yeti or something ridiculous. So we would have run from the troll with it chasing us, and we'd have bumped into a Yeti. Then the Yeti would have gone all like, no, rah, 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 and the troll would have come in from the back. I don't know what the hell that would have been. Little did we know that there was a second encounter possibility there. We'd rolled a doubly. So, I mean, it's ridiculous, but, the GM's brought that to us. Now, my own sensibilities of gaming and GMing are as follows. That it's fine to put an unwinnable battle in front of the players if they'll have the opportunity to realise, shucks, we are losing, let's run. I like that. I like to give the players basically a sanity check where they can say, actually, shall we run? Yes, we'll run. It's too hard. We're getting hit, we're getting beaten, our health's going down fast, let's go. Problem with level 1 is that something, especially at that CR level, happened to be CR8 by the way, is going to one-shot you. It's going to one-shot you, and he was rolling amazing anyway, the GM, Laurie, who you'd know from this channel, the days where we used to get to sit together and do videos. It's a shame, isn't it? But, as George Harrison said, all things must pass, and circumstances in life, and that. But you carry on as you can. So, yeah, that's an incredible battle. Now, normally it would just be, pretty severely hard for us. However, it being a troll, it heals. Okay, unless you can hit it with fire. None of the party have access to fire. We're all level 1. Yeah, we don't have access to fire. We have no fire on us. That's the first thing. So we're screwed, because that thing's going to just heal back up and keep healing back up. And we met it and we prepared, we delayed actions, and then when it got to us, we attacked and did all the right things. We didn't waste any of our action turn. We all had a crack at it, because what else could we do? And then it went, and it just slaughtered people. One shot. Basically, every hit it gave, it killed someone. It put them to 0 HP, basically. And then it did its stupid AoE effect. It's cold aura thing that it does, or whatever. I haven't gone in the book and read it, but the GM basically explained, it's the cold damage just keeps coming off of it automatically. It's not like it's using an action to do it. It's just constant every bloody turn. Oh my god, it's just this constant effect. It's horrible. It was just horrible and dumb, because it just does that, and people are down, and it's just going to go bleh, I wipe you, because it's like, because of how much health you've got and the damage that's just done. It just goes bleh, you're outright dead. You're actually outright dead. Forget the death saves. That's done that much damage to you, Mr. Level 1. In my case, me being a more physical fighter, I was HP 13, and in fact, I'd managed to put a buff on the team to give us plus 3 HP, so I pushed it actually to 16, and I wouldn't cut it. It was one of those, you're in death saves, you're lying there, you've been one shot, so you can't kind of prepare, and you can't say, oh, this is going bad, we need to retreat, like I would normally, give allowance to. And then it's like, oh, okay, the dumbass AoE has just killed everyone, because it's just farting this cold constantly. Great, that's just really sucky as hell and just horrible, because there's no chance and it's not fair. And and then a bunch of other people, they did the hide action. It's like a whole bunch of people died. Now, I dissected this later. And here's how I saw this. Number one, it's partly the party's fault. Where they haven't said, oh, let's take a sled, because we saw that someone left the town with a sled. So, okay, so we know that sleds are a thing, the dog sled. However, we wouldn't have been able to afford it, so it's not really but we didn't even suggest it. But we wouldn't have been able to afford it. So, okay. Second problem is we didn't state we were actually going off-road. The GM kind of took over the narrative and auto-assumed that we were going off-road. And the problem with that is that he knows he's going to be rolling on that table. We did not state how we were going. So we did not have that agency to state how we were travelling, which way we were going. So the problem with it's like the GM isn't the most comfortable when it comes to describing travel. So travel isn't even really encapsulated in a paragraph of language, unless it's in the book. He goes by, what's in the book, and that's that. So it was, you're moving this way, it's cold, and you can see a troll, basically. He was even later telling me, when I was discussing with him about, this isn't having a go at the GM, this is dissecting it. This isn't a rant, this is none of that. Because I've spoken to the GM about this. We had a very grown-up conversation. So I'm just trying to translate all of that to you. And, to see this kind of, this clash and this problem. He later told me that actually, had you run, I probably should have even had you doing tests, because of the terrain being so difficult. You'd have been slowed down in the terrain or whatever. You'd have moved slower or whatever. And the troll, it's its favoured terrain because it's an ice troll, so it wouldn't be slowed down. So it would have been able to move faster than you. So actually trying to run from it, me doing my job right, you wouldn't be able to escape it anyway from that kind of plan. So I thought, oh wow, that's okay. Wow, that's even worse in a way. That's just suckier still that we got into that. The fact that the random encounter table has this sudden monster that's way too much for level 1, and it's like it applies to the level 1s as it would apply to the others. Whereas when you play something like Curse of Strahd, yeah, you're not going off road straight away. You're not like playing that way. It's very, very carefully controlled. You're funneled into Death House, and then Death House takes over. It's for you to get you between levels 1 and 3. So it's going to funnels you over into it. That was done well. This, where it's really, really open, terrible things could happen. Awful things could happen. So I mean, so much so that when it came to actually playing the next session, one of the players was down, and the GM kind of like fiated something so that he would heal back up and be able to get back up into the fight again, because he's like, I'm not having another bloodbath on my hands straight away in the next session. And it's like, well, you know, he was all right. This thing, the thing we were then fighting in the next session, it wasn't like doing the dumb AoE auto kill stupidity, and it was only like CR4 thing we were then fighting, so it was fine. We could have probably done it and got our teammate back up and that, but so it felt a little bit like hand holding at that point. So it's really, really a balance. It was, you know, it's, I didn't think we were going to wipe, but if the GM's going to do that and kind of like heal people back up from them going down in that session, why are we bothering to actually fight the enemy? Why are we rolling dice at all against that enemy? If we're not allowed to die, we may as well just auto skip the fight, like like press B and it's like skip fight cutscene. Yes, okay, okay, yay, it's dead. Loot it, like that sort of thing, rather than actually go through the whole rigmarole of fighting it. The threat has to be valid. So it's a balanced thing, isn't it, that? Anyway, back to our troll situation. I was discussing it with Laurie, and we determined that he was saying it sucked, and it didn't make him happy that it came up, and I was like, well, you know what? You're allowed to change it. If you don't like the enemy, you're allowed to change it. One of my faults that I would put against Laurie is that he's so stuck to the book and so stuck to the rules and so stuck to the thing as written before him that he's got better. He's got a hell of a lot better over the years, but it's however, because he's not really a fan of giving narrative about travel, what that created here was we didn't have the opportunity to kind of gauge how that we were even off-road, really, that we were actually going off-road, because it's just, it's too much energy. It seems us and the GM aren't pouring the energy into how we're actually traveling. It's just kind of done for us. And if it had been described more narratively, like actually it's particularly thick, you're sinking down up to your knees or something like that, up to the top of your shins in this snow, or however damn deep it was. It's quite tiring going, and that sort of thing. If we some sort of narrative information like that, we might have said, gee, we may not want to go this way. Wait, why is it so thick on the road like this? And at that point the GM would be, you're not on the damn road. So why aren't we on the damn road? And we could have had that conversation, or like, let's go a different way where to the south, where it's more roady to get you to the first missions. You can stay on road to definitely do that. And of course, north does have one that you can stay on the road to get you to, but the group decided to check that one out first. Of course, we could have gone on the road north and then broke off directly east over to it, gone that way, and that's the safest way to have travelled to it without a dog sled. Of course, with the dog sled we could have outrun the troll situation, so that would have been a big game changer. So So because we didn't get that narrative information, we couldn't really have the conversation with the GM and with ourselves about the fact of where the hell we were and what we were actually exposed to. And then it just kind of came on us because, you know, he's playing completely by the book, and, you know, he's generating the enemy as the book told him to. You know, he becomes enslaved to that book, except at the times when it would make, you know, like gear and things like that. That my other concern is, like, when we played Waterdeep, there was maybe too much extra gear given out. Everyone got really, really powerful, and, you know, like, the encounters didn't really have that threat level that they could have potentially have had, the struggle that they could have potentially have had, and, you know, when it gets a bit handholdy like that, I don't know, it doesn't really do it for me personally as a player. I don't GM like that. And, you know, people have criticised me. People criticised me at Strahd because I played right through and just gave them the loot that was there in the book until very, very much later on, where I started bringing in the Adventurers League, Jenny Greenteeth, turning up to being able to, you know, dish out loot from her magic box, and they started getting all sorts of things. And I'm kind of disappointed that I kind of acquiesced to even do that, because they were a bit complaining about it, the players. You know, we aren't getting the gear, because they weren't in the places to be getting the gear. The way it's kind of set up, all the gear is mainly sort of like the last two bits before the castle and the castle itself. That's where you get all the gear. Of course, that's all the high level stuff. But, you know, that's horror D&D, and, you know, I did all my best to give the players their expectation rundown so that they'd be aware of it, but it still kind of seemed to take their toll on player expectation. You know, because it's D&D, you know, they expect, you know, to be able to, you know, get all these like power upgrades to a thing that they're assuming they're going to get. Like, they want to see these big noticeable differences, and I'm saying, well, you know, you're leveling. Those are noticeable differences just even from leveling. You know, and the other thing was, you know, the kind of gear that's coming at them, you know, it's not necessarily something that they can use for their party, so it's just kind of bound a bit by that sometimes when it falls that way. You know, it just felt a bit duller for them gear-wise. You know, the unusables, they didn't have a wizard, there's a load of wizard stuff in Strahd and so on. Those 5e things the official ones, they love throwing wizard items at you, and it's, you know, it's especially annoying when you don't have a wizard, isn't it? You know, they love throwing wizard books at you. So, you know, the troll, the wipey troll, I just don't think you'd understand. That's the song, you know. Here comes the troll, the wipey troll. Yeah, so, you know, that's the wipe encounter. That's how it can kind of happen, and that's that player assumption and the conversation clash and the things that didn't happen. And, you know, it's kind of a warning there, especially if you're going to be running Rime of the Frostmaidrn, to really make sure that people know what the hell they're doing. And until next time, I'll see you at the, well, in this case, the virtual table. Ta-ra.